Alright guys, coming at you with another replay. I'm going to be getting in with some Khorne versus Cathay. So, my opponent's bringing a really wide build, you know. He's got Miao Ying, expensive lord, really good combatant, good caster as well. And he's going to be coming in with a pretty hefty kit on her. Pretty much all of her spells. But then he's just bringing in mostly infantry and a few Jade Lancers with some good ranged pressure. He's really going for what I think is a pretty proper Cathay build. Like to see a little bit more, maybe one unit of the Celestial Dragon Guard crossbowmen for the heavy AP. Probably wouldn't have worked too well against my build. A little bit redundant there, but think it would be a pretty good mix-in against Khorne, just in case Bloodthirster comes in. Anyways, I'm personally going to be bringing Khorne Herald, the Exalted Bloodletters, which I'm really excited to show off in this battle. Oh my god, did they do work. But they got this amazing ability, Hellblade. After they get 80 kills, they get extra 20% to base and armor-piercing damage. Lawnmower unit. Amazing stuff. 2-foot cultists, halberds, a regular unit of bloodletters, skull crushers in the reserve with 2 spawn, 2 halberds, 4 flesh hounds, and 4 furies. Another thing I'd really like to see, longbow riders. To defend these cannons, you have to bring longbow riders against all the chaos factions to try and contest furies. You're probably still going to get swarmed, and you're going to need to do a lot of protecting of all these ranged threats, but he tried to oversaturate with ranged pressure, which was a good idea. Get the cannons in, put long range pressure, then have just a ton of other stuff peppering away at my units. Anyways, we're going to jump in here and to see how this goes. This is a really well played game by my opponent, but you're going to see that for some units, if you don't have an answer to them, they are going to absolutely eat you alive. So let's jump into this here. So yeah, as I said, my 2-foot cultists are here. Skulls for the Skull Throne. He's got his entire force deployed right here. You know, he's going to be pushing up the cannons and all of his crossbowmen with the spear support and halberds. Miao Ying right here. Not yet in her dragon form, still on foot. He's going to be getting in range here. I'm going to be moving my Exalted Bloodletters to the high ground, along with the Chaos Warrior halberds. I'm going to move over here in a minute, too. The goal was to try and get them out of line of sight of the cannons. Unfortunately, it doesn't happen for these poor guys, and they're going to get absolutely roasted by the first volley. Look at that damage, man. Takes out a good 18 guys, 16 guys on the first volley there. Absolutely absurd. So I'm trying to run them over to this cliff to hide them. I wanted to have forces on each side to do a little bit of a push, you know, up through here and then out to the side and then in. While I have my cultists here on the point. I don't mind if they get shot at by the cannon. They're on foot. They're going to take damage, but it's not going to be catastrophic. He's shooting in with his peasant archers, poking away at these guys, getting a little bit of damage in. But here, I'm going to go for my counter. I've got to deal with this cannon. I mean, my infantry are getting absolutely roasted right now. And the rest of my infantry aren't going to do too hot either with these guys back here. So I'm going to be pushing in my 2 furies. I needed to saturate in on this, and I knew that it needed to be dealt with. So here comes the dive, the first unit. They're going to be jumping in. My opponent does a really smart play. And he's going to demount the cannons and pull his unit through the halberds and get my furies trapped completely on them. And then here comes Miao Ying. She's going to be jumping in. She's going to be getting a lot of damage in. Not looking too good for these guys. They're going to want to run away, but here, got my other unit of furies. This is what happens if you don't have longer riders and enough air force to contest against the furies. So they just you oversaturate. I got my other unit in. They're going to be getting good damage in on these guys, but my opponent still, knowing that I have to dive in, His Jade Lancers come in here, and they just absolutely... Look at this. I mean, they're just melting through my poor Furies. Anyways, down here, while all that's been going on in the back line, I've been moving all my halberds in. They're getting saturated in on these peasants. I'm pulling my Exalted Bloodletters around the side while my Furies deal with this these Iron Hail Gunners, who would have been a good, gotten a good volley in on these guys if it weren't for these Furies doing the Lord's work here. Collecting plenty of skulls and blood for the Blood God. Summon coming down, regular Bloodletters from the Cultist. Gonna be getting in here on these halberds and the Peasant Archers. They're gonna be having a bad day. And here we go, Exalted Bloodletters. Super excited to show you guys what these dudes can do. Oh my goodness. Are they world beaters? Coming in here, getting an amazing side charge on these poor halberds who are gonna be having a terrible day now. Just fighting regular Bloodletters is already hard enough work for them. Now Exalted's on their flank, tearing through them and the Jade Lancers. They're trying to run away and deal with this unit that's on these archers, kind of. Caught up in two different places here, but honestly, that's ultimate value for a summoned unit. Fury's coming in from pretty much killing off these poor Iron Hail Gunners, you know. They're coming back in, but I've got these guys hanging out here waiting to respond, because I knew my opponent didn't have an Air Force at this point. We got some Fleshhounds moving in on the side here. Gonna be trying to get on the cannon crew, but I decided instead, yeah, I'll just take the engagement against these crossbowmen. They don't have a hope against these guys. Doing a ton of damage as we speak. And here you go. Exalted Bloodletters coming in here again. Going right into these Peasant Archers who are moving forward a little bit too far, honestly. But look at the damage that they do. I mean, they're just chewing through them at an unreasonable rate, man. They're so powerful. Halberds coming in here trying to save these poor archers, but it's just not enough. I'm going to be switching them onto this engagement here. Going to be having a Storm of the Night coming down here. Where is it at? Where is it at? Where is it at? Yeah, Talons of the Night. Does really good AP damage and keeps all these guys stuck in so they get the ultimate amount of value on it. So my halberds, they haven't been having a very good time, but oh boy have these Exalted Bloodletters been having a good time. 129 kills already, 784 value, and we're only a few minutes into this game, just 5 minutes. Here, the Fleshhounds got dealt with, but I got the Furies in the back, and they finally managed to rout this cannon. This cannon got a few good volleys in at the beginning, hasn't been able to do much since. That's really bad news for Cathay. They really need that powerful shooting to try and keep the objectives contested, because right now I'm very well ahead of my opponent. I've got this objective, got this one. He's got a unit of peasants, or 2 units of peasants, one pretty tattered, one healthy one. I'm going to be getting a whole unit of halberds here on these guys, and they're going to chew through them. I mean, halberds are so incredibly strong, and peasants don't have a hope in hell against them. So my opponent's going to have to respond with something over there to try and change the tide of that battle, because I'll capture that one too, and then I'll have the triple cap. I do lose all my infantry here, and the Grand Cathay was finally capturing this point off of me. But I'm committing some spawn in here, and they're going to be a good unbreakable roadblock. Archers or crossbowmen shooting in here on them, doing pretty good damage. But they're enough. They got good capture weight, and they're keeping the enemy from being able to take this point. And I'm capturing it back, actually, now that I've got my character goon squad here, too. Exalted Bloodletters coming in here, and a massive, massive sword coming in from the skies. Absolutely destroying these guys. I had one of my summoned Bloodletters, actually, holding this pocket while that ability came in. You can see how much damage it did. Incredible value off of it. Finished off the Bloodletters. I think they were about to be despawned anyways, but you can see the bodies and the carnage from that. Huge damage value there, and look at this. I mean, charging down Jade Crossbowmen with these Exalted Bloodletters, and they got rear charged, and now they're going to turn around. They're going to put all of this armor-piercing value in against these Jade Lancers, who you can see even got a rear charge, fully healthy unit against a pretty tattered unit of Bloodletters at this point, and they're getting chewed up. That armor, that lack of the bonus versus large not hurting these Bloodletters in the least. 44 melee attack, 36 melee defense. And look at this, 53 weapon damage. Most of it armor piercing, coming in on these Jade Lancers. And look at this, these guys, they're gonna go down. They're gonna have a bad day. All of these range units coming in, doing their best to try and shoot me off this objective, but now it's just spawn and single entities, which these guys are not going to be able to do anything against. Flesh Hounds coming in here, clearing out these peasant horsemen. Still got my bloodletters sitting on the side, not doing anything. And you can see, dead, gone. Halberd unit coming into the middle here. Flesh Hound's going to be going into the back. Got my Herald still running around here, providing good support, popping his buffs when applicable, and Cultists hanging in there like champs. 53 kills, or 52 kills and 65 kills. Really good value against all of these infantry. They'd be able to grind all day against Cathay infantry. Poor Cathay doesn't have a hope. These bloodletters, these Exalted bloodletters, still cleaning house, routed off those Jade Lancers, and now they're getting in on the back of these peasant archers, and these archers dead, gone, deleted from the game, no hope for them. Spawn finally going down. This last one shot dead by the Iron Hails and the archers here. But you can see the threat saturation is just overwhelming here. All of these units are getting in on getting bad engagements right here. I'm pushing the Flesh Hounds through, and I've got these bloodletters. They're moving in here. Came off the objective at the last minute. All the while over here, I was contesting with some halberds and some Flesh Hounds who went and did absolute work. You know, they tore through the two peasant spear units over here, the halberds did, before getting routed off by Miao Ying, which is why she was over here the entire game. Not really doing a whole lot, honestly. My opponent got some pretty good casts of Talons in the Night and did good work against my halberd units. But just with the presence of these Exalted bloodletters, the entire game saturating into the backfield, doing huge amounts of value. I mean, they had over 300 kills, as you're about to see. He didn't have any answer to these guys. Miao Ying really needed to be used to provide some kind of punch against these guys. And I believe one of her abilities imbues magical attacks onto the units that are fighting. That would have been really good against these guys who only have physical resist to prevent the damage coming in on them. Pretty poor armor values. Look at that. Look at the Herald. What a guy. Riding with his boys into battle, collecting plenty of skulls. These things are so badass. Halberds over here, they did good work this game. The Furies and the Hounds did exactly what they needed to do. They needed to be disruptive and keep him from being able to fully respond against the bloodletters in the middle of the battlefield, just cutting through. I mean, they went all the way up through his army. Swaths of bodies responsible because of those guys. Alright, and we're going to look at some of the values here. Only 200 on my Herald. He was fighting infantry most of the game, along with the Cultist Goon Squad, who also only got about 300 value on each of them. Good kills, though, and did help rout off infantry units, which is really important to holding that middle objective. In the meantime, look at the work these guys did. 383 kills, 2,300 value. There has to be an answer to these guys. This is the first time I used them, and I was very impressed with their performance. We'll see how they do against other factions. I'm going to need to test. Halberds didn't pay for themselves, but they got good kill values and held the objectives, which was the goal against Cathay. While all the mobility here, you can see, got all these Furies doing pretty good work, getting as much value as they could. These Flesh Hounds came at the end, but killed this Peasant Horseman off and some crossbowmen, and we're going straight up the pipe there at the end to get more. These guys were the ones fighting out there on the flank with this unit of halberds. And these guys, 91 kills, killed the Peasant Spearmen pretty well. And these guys tore through 2 entire units of Peasant Horsemen. Never send Peasant Horsemen against Flesh Hounds. They will die horribly. Oh my goodness. You can see the value these guys got. 1,200. The 2 units of Horsemen, like I said. And then I think they helped chew on some more. A 3rd unit of Horsemen and some Peasant Spears. and we're still doing pretty good over there. Spawn, good kills, not a lot of value. My opponent was outvaluing me most of the battle, but the problem with that is that his units were getting absolutely mulched through. They were so cheap, and he was able to summon so many of them, but their overall impact in wrestling the point away from me was nil. And in Domination, combination of value and holding the objectives is what's important. You know, I mean, gosh, you can see the losses on my army versus his. His were more impactful, or less impactful, I should say, than the ultimate value that all of these kills got, even though the damage value wasn't all that much. But anyways, you know, it was a good game by my opponent. He scrapped really hard, and you know, I think if he had had an answer to these bloodletters, it would have been a very different game. But he didn't have anything in his roster to deal with them. I mean, nothing here is going to be valuable fighting those guys. Saturating them with arrow fire would have been his only answer with what he brought. Cannons, if I had allowed them to get shots in on these guys, which I was determined not to, I let it go on to the halberds instead, who, like I said, got beat up pretty bad at the beginning, but did get good kills overall in the end. But yeah, anyways, that's going to be the end for this one. Thanks for watching if you're here.